Folks, it's Tuesday, May the 30th. Time is running out in the month of May here as we shift over to June. It's the right side of campus here. I'll be your host today, Donnie Rightside, with my partner in crime, Jeff Nadu, the big man on campus. We have a lot to go through today. If you saw some earlier tweets by me, some interesting names are coming up here on the docket for Major League Baseball. But let's get the show started here. Big man, Tuesday, busy. What's going on over there, brother?
Oh, just great, Donnie. I got on Twitter just now. I was telling you, and my account's locked for 12 hours. So
you nasty SOB over there.
They slapped me on the wrist, Donnie, for some reason. Now, I get literally, Donnie, harassed by people. Their sole goal in life is to harass me. I make one tweet about something in a joking fashion and get locked for 12 hours. How about that?
That's amazing. Yeah.
You won't be seeing me retweeting anything for about 12 hours, which it's amazing how Twitter – shame on Twitter for the disgraceful rule system they have. They don't get the dumbasses that they should get out, but they kick me out for 12 hours for doing one little thing. But, yes, a lot to do today, Donnie. I'm very excited about the card. A lot to talk about here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One of the things that I always like is I'm prepping. I had a delivery come in, which sort of broke up the monotony of what I was doing. But has anybody ever got like these Windows updates on their system that say, hey, you want to do it now? I say, yeah, I got a couple minutes here. And it turns into over an hour. Like I had one of those this morning, kicks me out of everything. I have to reboot in. Like I'm trying to actually just get into YouTube right now. So we'll see if I can even get in and monitor the chat box. But it's always an interesting thing. You don't ever ask for the update. It seems like they just creep up on you like, yeah, you want this update.
Yeah, you kind of have to do it on purpose. Yeah. I hate that. I know exactly what you're talking about. I got that sometimes happen on SBR where I have to film or something, and it'll come up and it'll force me to do it. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, let me see if I can plug in and get away here. But again, a big Major League Baseball day here, Jeff. Follow us again on Twitter at SBR Sports Picks. Check out SBRodds.com. Jeff and I also host a late night on campus. We'll be on tonight again at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jeff, by the way, I know SBR is doing a lot of promotions in the month of May leading into June. You want to explain that a little bit to the listeners out there?
Yeah, for anyone that's interested, I know Peter Lochak was chatting about it today on their his show, and the contest is pretty simple, people. So, you want to come on and you want to, we talk baseball. A lot of people have their opinion on here. Now you have a chance to prove that opinion. It's you can join the contest, 60 picks spread out the entire month. Most units at the end of June, Donnie, will win bet points and all sorts of swag from SBR. Now, bet points are basically things you can use. It's basically like virtual money you use to buy things. So similar to like, let's say you have PayPal money and you want to convert that into gift card or something like that. It's very similar to that, allows you to buy things. And it'll also allow you to do things. If you win the contest, we'll do something on the show, like we'll have you on to break down the baseball card with us. We'll get to know you and chat about the card. You can break my balls and call me stupid and an idiot and all sorts of things. I don't mind. I'll take it. I'll take you to dinner. You live in Philly. You want me to take you to dinner? I'll take you and your wife to dinner. I know that would be just great. Sitting down with me for dinner. How about that, Donnie? That would be quite the story. You can
breaking bread with the big man. You can have a whole contest on that.
You can break bread with me. How about that? We'll go. I'll take you to the best cheesesteak spot in Philly. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. We're going to come up with some cool things. Donnie and I will be joining it. Peter will be joining it. Everyone at SBR will be joining it. Yep. So if you beat me, we'll come up with some sort of fun thing to do. But join the contest. It's going to be fun. It's a good way to kind of chat about it with others and make picks. You can fade me. That would be fun. I don't want to get cucked, BMOC. I will not steal your wife, Robinson. I promise. I might try, but no, I'm kidding. No, I will not try to steal your wife, bro. I'm not like that. But yes, join the contest. It'll be fun. You can play against me. You'll probably beat me. You'll probably beat Donnie, and you can say you beat us. So, Tho Marino, if you're out there, here's your opportunity. You can beat me.
Yes, and by the way, I did try to bargain with the heads of SBR here so we can only have one play per month in this contest, but they shut me down.
Oh, yeah. Donnie definitely won't be joining this contest because it basically means that he has to do at least 2 plays a day, 30 days in the month. So Donnie won't probably be in the contest due to his piker attitude, so he won't be in the contest. Donnie is piker to the nth degree. So. If you've watched Boiler Room, you know what I'm talking about. Piker means you're.
I asked for vacation days, baby.
Yeah, Donnie gets 6 weeks vacation. So don't look for him in this contest. You won't see Donnie Rightside here because you have to make at least 2 plays a day.
Yeah, Jeff's 46 and 22. Donnie, what are you? I'm 1-0, baby. Right behind you.
Donnie's 6 and 4 over the month. Great job. Listen, Donnie's been giving out plays since 2006. He literally is like 18-9 over that time.
18-9 overall, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So Donnie, you have to come up with the max amount, or you're not in.
Exactly. I don't even have plays of the year, more like plays of the decade, because I mean they don't,
Right.
really move too fast.
So join the show, like the show, but after the show, go get on the contest, join it, have some fun. We'll be in it as well. So, Donnie, let's jump into this card. A lot to do today.
Yeah, no, I'm actually excited by this card, Jeff. We talked about it last night on the late night at campus after we got off, just making some jokes on some of these pitchers' names that come up. This is what, as a capper, as a person that pays attention to each and every sport, Jeff, this is what we like to do. I mean, when we see the names up here we don't know, part of the fun is getting that research behind the scenes to see if you can have an edge on those. Because, again, when the public skis Skoglund, obviously Jay Happ's coming back, but Bridwell,
real quick, I was waiting for someone to mention that. It is baby powder, and if you want me to prove it, I'll show you. I put baby powder on my arms, my neck. It makes you smell good.
Big men sweat a little bit there. You need the powder out there.
It's not cocaine, if you're wondering. I don't obviously by my weight, I don't do cocaine. It would probably be a little less.
You do a lot of shows out there, Jeff. I mean, you need that energy boost somehow.
Well, I do. I take a shower and get ready right before the show, so I'm looking normally. Sometimes I don't, but yes, that is what that is. I was waiting for someone to mention that, but there it is. Chris mentioned it. So there you go, Chris.
Juan's got it right out there, too. Hey, by the way, chat box filling up. It's already lively. Me and Jeff love the chat box there. Keep it clean, keep it cool in there. Say whatever you want. Just try not to offend and have any chat box violence there. I know yesterday was a holiday. A lot of people liquored up. And again, it's the late night, but let's have some fun today. Let's go over anything that pops up on that chat box, Jeff. Obviously, you'll give it a shout out. If it's something worth note there, I will do the same. But we have a busy card today. We want to keep it clean. We want to keep it tight. Let's get after it here. Early on the docket here, Jeff. We're going to go to my Philadelphia Phillies and the Miami Marlins. Velasquez and Nicolino on the mound today. 54% of the tickets, Jeff, backing the home team with the Miami Marlins. The line opened up a slight favorite here, minus 108 to Velasquez. Has since shifted a little bit in Nicolino's favor to minus 114 here at Chris. If we get into the numbers here, Velasquez 9 starts this year, 5.55 ERA. His last start, he was pretty good, Jeff, versus Colorado in a game the Phillies did win in extras 2-1. Gave up 1 run over 5 innings. Nicolino, 2 starts. He's been good through 2 starts. Good at home versus Atlanta in the last time out. Bad road start versus the L.A. Dodgers out on the road. Philadelphia, one of the worst road teams in Major League Baseball. No surprise, 7-19 overall. Miami, not really that good as well at home at 9-15. Last night, the bats for the Phillies were, enigmatic to say the least, put to sleep. Maybe they partied on South Beach. It's not a one-time thing. Seems like an everyday thing. Miami did enough to win that game. But another one on the docket today. 2 pitchers technically struggling, and you can get hit. But as we say, Nicolino might as well look like Cy Young out here versus that Phillies lineup.
Enigmatic. That's a word from Donnie today. How about that? Really pulling out the thesaurus today. By the way, if you don't know what enigmatic means, mysterious and difficult to interpret. So great use of that word, Donnie.
Yes.
But yeah, so in this game, listen, the Phillies have lost 23 of 29 games. It's hard to get involved with them right now, as we've talked about time and time again. But again, do I really want to get involved with the Marlins either with as many games in the card as today? I don't really trust Justin Nicolino. He's not a guy that I really want my money on. I obviously don't want my money on the Phillies and Vin Velasquez. Listen, Donnie, I will say this. I think out of all the pitchers, I think Velasquez does probably have the highest ceiling of this group. Maybe Aaron Nola as well. But, yeah, I don't necessarily hate Velasquez. Sometimes he's kind of all over the place and just kind of tries too hard sometimes. But I don't want to bet on the Phillies lineup. This team's only hitting 195 over the last 7 days. On the road, I just have no interest here in this game. It's a total pass for me here, and it should be for most of the listeners as well.
No, I agree with you on that. The one thing that I always look to avoid, Jeff, in Major League Baseball, and you probably do the same, are guys like Vince Velasquez, because when he's on, he can get 15 strikeouts in 7 innings. When he's off, unpredictable, gives up the long ball. One of those things where, you just sit back and you say, like a knuckleballer to me, where I like to pass and don't really like to take a side in that type of situation. Velasquez presents that same thing to me, because when he's on, like he was versus a very good hitting Rockies lineup, 5 innings, 1 earned, but he could be off and you get, a bad result out of that. So I'm going to stay away from that game as well. I don't have much there. The over-under in this one is 9. And again, if you've seen it, I rode that Phillies wagon as long as it could go in the overs when the bullpen was struggling. Bullpen actually pitching a little bit better. The offense just can't get it going. Even in the last game versus the Reds, Jeff, they score 4 runs, I believe, in the third inning, take a 4-2 lead. They don't score again. That's typical Phillies. Tough game to have there either way in this one. Next up on the docket, Jeff, 903, 904 on the rotation. Robbie Ray and Ivan Nova here, 58% of the tickets actually backing the road team here with the D-backs. Line opened up a small favorite for Nova, now actually a small favorite at Pinnacle for Robbie Ray, but basically a pick 'em in this game. Opened up at 7.5, Jeff, currently sitting at 8, just about across the board in this one. Some really good numbers out of both of these pitchers with splits. Robbie Ray, Jeff, 5 road starts, staying away from Arizona. 0.81 ERA. Pittsburgh got to him, however, at home when they were playing out in the desert for 4 earned runs over 4 innings. Ivan Nova's had 4 home starts. He's been very good. 2.39 ERA. An interesting stat. I don't put anything into these, but I do find it interesting. Arizona 6-2 on Tuesday, Jeff. Pittsburgh 1-6 on Tuesday. I don't think that really means too much in the end of it, but both of these pitchers have very good splits here for this game.
Yeah, both these pitchers are pitching very well this year. Nova, best pitcher for Pittsburgh. Robbie Ray, other than Zach Greinke, the best pitcher for Arizona. The problem that I have here, Donnie, continuously has been Arizona on the road. I'm not interested in them on the road. I'm just not. They're only hitting 222. They're 10-14. They're a totally different team away from Chase Field. They've also, Donnie, struggled against Pittsburgh. They've lost 13 of 17 against the Pirates. The problem I have here with the Pirates is they don't hit lefties particularly well. I'm going to go under 8.5 here. I don't think either team right now I really trust offensively, especially with some of the splits you mentioned and the way the pitchers have pitched. I mean, Nova's been very good. And Robbie Ray, I mean, his whip is low. ERA's low on the road, or at home, I'm sorry. For me, this is pretty standard, but I'll go under. I know the ump isn't particularly an under ump, but it's hard to envision. Just both these teams, they don't. One doesn't hit lefties. One's not particularly good on the road. It's kind of a squarish kind of play, but I'll go under 8.5 for the record.
Yeah, and when you're struggling, the one thing that's always tough also, Jeff, you bring up that Arizona does struggle on the road to hit the baseball. Ivan Nova doesn't give you any free passes either. You're going to have to swing the bat and get base hits in this. You're not going to draw 5 walks over 6 innings from Nova. That's certainly not going to happen.
Correct. And, I'm actually kind of annoyed that, I was never a huge Nova fan in when he was with the Yankees, but he had flashes, and it's a shame that they kind of let him go early because he's turned into quite the pitcher. I guess that has to do more maybe with the National League, but yeah, he's been really good. Both these pitchers have been particularly good.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out there with the lineup. I always like to bet Pittsburgh. If you're betting Pittsburgh, you want to get a good lineup. I actually really like, Jeff, that, a manager showing his wear with, McCutchen, king of the city, king of that team, so to speak, moving him down to the 6th spot, just wasn't producing up in the 3 hole there. I do like that. Adam Frazier's been good. We'll see if they can get Freese back. Polanco's back in the lineup. So when you're betting the Pittsburgh Pirates now, a little bit better lineup than what they were showing the past 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll see if that plays into anything today.
I do kind of like the fact that, I mean, if you look over baseball over the last 2+ weeks, unders are coming in heavily right now. I mean, really.
Yeah, how about the last 3 days, Jeff? You had nobody go over, then you had everybody go over, and then it almost switched back. Obviously, in the early slate, most of the games staying under. Late slate got out of control, and they all went over. But, yeah, it's definitely one of those roads. I'm actually glad to see that because most people know I'm more of a totals over type of guy. But whenever you get in a situation, the way the totals were running for about 3 weeks, you couldn't even cap an under. It didn't make any sense to do so.
Yeah, I mean, right now they've really come in a lot lately. Could someone school me? Why do you say the umpire's 2-6 to the under? I mean, he should probably say he's 6-2 to the under. But again, basically, he's just saying that out of 8 games, 6 have gone under the total. And again, I mean, that's something you can find just by going on Google and typing in umpires today. There are plenty of places that do that. I know SBR, I think they do it as well. That's something I do want to point out. I got to look at SBR. Do they do umpire stuff? I got to look at
I'm not actually sure if they do umpire stuff or not. I do have the only thing, and yesterday always makes it interesting, Jeff. We talk about it where for the Major League Baseball is kind of funny. Like, it's all shrouded in secrecy. Like, we can't put out who the umpire is until an hour before the game. I mean, what's going to happen when legal gambling's out there? Don't you want as much information, disseminated out there throughout the public? I always get a laugh out of that. But once the series starts, yay, we can get that out, at 10 a.m. We know who it is. Just an interesting quirk that MLB baseball does on that.
No, I know. You're right on that. But yeah, as far as that, you definitely want to keep that in mind when you're looking at umpires. You can find umpire stats. Yep, Yeah, that's exactly right, Chris. So I'll go under 8.5 for the record. Just looks like kind of a low-scoring 4-2 type of game.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Next up on the docket, Jeff, one of the teams that you've been backing, and, again, until the wheels fall off. Maeda's on the mound versus Waka today. That's 9:05, 9:06 here on the rotation. That's the Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. 50-50 split here, Jeff, on tickets from a public aspect. Total opened up at 8.5. Has since been bet a little bit lower at Pinnacle right now. You can get 8. The line opened up at -106, a very, very slight favorite with Kenta Maeda. Has since been bet up to -122 at Chris. So some money coming in here on the Dodgers. If we take a look at some interesting stats on this game, 3 road starts for Maeda. He hasn't been very good. 6.60 ERA, but Jeff is following the Dodgers. I know you do as well. He had a very rough April, but is seeming to be turning the corner here in the month of May. If we take a look at Michael Wacha, 5 home starts. He's been really good, 2.35 ERA. The Dodgers did light him up last week on the road. Dodgers 18-8 in the month of May. St. Louis only 12-12 in the month of May. We'll see what gives here, but again, that lineup for San Diego and that bullpen continues to hold it down. Good baseball team right now, Jeff.
Oh, you mean the Dodgers? Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. It's hard to step in front of the LA Dodgers the way they're playing right now. Maeda has turned a little bit of a corner. Last 18 in the third innings, 6 earned runs, 17 strikeouts, 2.95 ERA. Really has pitched well. And look, again, you look at what they're doing right here. The Dodgers, I mean, they're doing it with pitching. Last week or so, opponents hitting 181. You look at the 10 of 12 wins they've had, Donnie, 9 have come by 2 or more runs. They've just been really effective from really all facets. They're hitting. The pitching's been great. Bullpen's been good. They have a shutdown closer. They may have the best closer in baseball. I mean, I know Kimbrel's very good, but you look at the National League, I mean, Kenley Jansen's really good. And St. Louis is struggling right now. We see this all the time with St. Louis. They go through these stretches where they'll score 5-6 runs a game, hit 275, 280. Then they'll get back to this normal stuff. They're just too inconsistent for me from a betting perspective. They've always been that way. I just have never seemed to get this team right. But I do genuinely like them tonight here. I like the Dodgers. I like Maeda. I think he has a high ceiling. He'll turn the corner. He has turned the corner. I'm not stepping in front of the Dodgers right now, Donnie.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one to do there. Next up on the docket here, if we keep it moving, 9:07, 9:08. Interesting pitching matchup here, folks. That's going to be Milwaukee and New York Mets. Davies and Pill on the mound. 40% of the wagers coming in here on the New York Mets. Again, not a lot of people know too much about Tyler Pill. Opened up, Jeff, actually is a favorite, slight favorite at -110. At Chris right now, you get -114 on SBRodds.com. If you check out 5 dimes, they're at -112. So Pill holding strong despite not getting the majority of the tickets here. Interesting factoids on this game. Zach Davies, you pretty much know what you're going to get. He's actually been a little bit better than I thought on the road than actually what his stats are. 4 road starts, 3.7 ERA. That's going to keep you in ball games. If we take a look at Tyler Pill, I know he made an appearance. I believe it was Saturday and took the loss versus Pittsburgh. But if you look at his stats down in the minor league systems, 7 AAA starts this year, Jeff. 1.96 ERA, 2 AA starts. Hasn't even allowed an earned run. So one of these kids coming up, a little bit ballyhooed. I mean, it's not a Mats coming up through the organization, a Syndergaard, but he has put up really good stats there in AAA Las Vegas. Milwaukee 13-9 on the road even after the loss yesterday, and the New York Mets improved to 12-15 at home. So just be leery here. That line sets up well when you see a guy named Tyler Pill pitching, and he's posted as a slight favorite here. Keep an eye out because he does have some really good minor league statistics.
Yeah, Terry Collins kind of got I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, but he kind of got they made him look stupid a little bit putting Pill in here. I mean, Pill pitched Saturday in the 10th inning. He wasn't particularly good in that outing, that short outing. But I guess Tyler Pill, they wanted him in there to get his feet wet before a big start on Tuesday. Not really sure I understand that rationale. Why let him get crushed? I didn't look much into the start, but they lost the game in the bullpen late, so I would imagine he added to that. But again, I think he
only pitched like 1 inning and only had like 2 batters and gave up a run or something like that. It wasn't long. So
it wasn't particularly effective. It didn't really work. I would have just kind of sat him, let him rest, get prepared for a start. This is a big start for him. But yeah, I don't have much in this game. Milwaukee's kind of struggled lately. They've lost 6 of 8, Donnie. You mentioned Pill's success in AAA, but again, Zach Davies has actually been decent on the road for what it's worth. He's actually picked it up a little bit lately. But two teams I don't want my money on right now. I don't want to bet on Pill. This could be a long game for that pitching staff here for the Mets. I mean, what happens down if Pill goes 3 innings and gives up 6 earned runs? I mean, you're going to have to face that bullpen for a long period of time.
Yeah.
I guess I would lean Brewers just because I do kind of know a little bit more about Davies. I do like their lineup a little bit more, but both these teams I have no interest in backing right now.
Yeah, an interesting one. I'm the same way. I like to get a book on a lot of these kids. I haven't really seen too much out of Pill. I just thought it was interesting in AAA that he is putting up stats. It's not like he's just getting shelled, where we've seen it quite a bit where guys just getting lit in AAA. They don't want to bring up any of their actual prospects and say, hey, get a spot start out there, just see what he can do. And it typically ends badly. I don't know if that's going to be the case tonight, but one to keep an eye on, but he has had some decent stats there. Next up on the docket, 10:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9:09, 9:10. We're going to take it out to the West Coast here. That's going to be Butler and Lamet. Yes.
Before we get into this next game, we got 92 people watching. We're going to have SBR post the link of this contest into the chat box. All of you, go join it. Have some fun with it. We'll have some fun. Prizes will be there. We got plenty of stuff to do here. We talk about these games every day. Why don't we all try to battle it out? I'm sure many of you will beat me and Donnie. It's a good way to kind of have some fun. And look, I particularly want some of these people, Tho Marino, Chris, Jive Man, Guan Wade, whoever's on here, join it. We'll have some fun. If you beat me, you beat me and I'll give you something special for it. So beat me and we'll have some fun. So plenty of people have joined the contest. We have plenty of people watching right now. They're going to post the link here momentarily.
All right. Butler Lamet, as we were just talking about here, the Cubs and the Padres, 83% of the tickets coming in, Jeff, on the road team Chicago Cubs here. That's always a danger zone there. Minus 139 it opened up at. Looks like Pinnacle's holding about the same, minus 138. Chris, a little bit higher at minus 144. Sportsbook.com actually reporting in at minus 150. Total opened up at 8. It's now at 8.5 in this one. Some particulars on this game. Butler threw 3 starts, 1.93 ERA. Lamet's had 1 start, and he went 5 innings, gave up 1 earned run in his 8 AAA starts for Lamet here. 3.23 ERA. The Cubs floundering in May, 12-14 overall. San Diego in May, 9-17. It's about what we thought, maybe, 10 wins a month out of the Padres is about all they're capable of doing here. I don't have much on this game. Number one, I don't like the matchup with Butler and Lamet. I don't have too much information I like to guide on. One would think you could just say, hey, oh my goodness, Chicago Cubs pitchers under 2 ERA, and they're only laying 138 against San Diego. Be wary, man. This isn't the Cubs we're used to. We're just going to smash it out at home and, put up 12 runs.
No, it's not. Lamet or LeMay.
Lamet, yeah, I didn't actually look up his pronunciation. I haven't seen it.
He's been really sharp in his debut. But I think this is a pretty good test for him here. Obviously, like you said, this isn't the typical Cubs lineup, but there's still some bats in this lineup that, he will be able to be tested against. It's a good way for San Diego to kind of throw him out there. They don't have much to lose. I mean, they're not going to win anything. This is what the Philadelphia Phillies should be doing, putting out guys that, really can maybe prove something, get their feet wet, let them face some big league lineups, some good big league lineups. But you look at Butler. I mean, he's pitched well too. Here's the problem with Eddie Butler, Donnie. I think regression will come very soon with Eddie Butler. I think he's been particularly lucky in his starts. I know in a start against the Brewers, he kind of wiggled out of things, and he's wiggled out of some opportunities that I've seen him pitch this year against the Cardinals, against the Brewers. He's a guy that will get crushed at some point. I don't think it'll be tonight, but I think he is a guy that will get some runs. I don't have much in this game. It'll be a good game to watch. I think it'll be interesting to see how Lamet faces these Cubs. Obviously, they won the World Series last year. It's a good kind of measuring barometer maybe early on. For me, I'm not in the business to bet on what might happen or kind of make let people have their fun and try things out. I want good plays. I don't know that this is a good play either way. I'm not interested in either side here. Yeah,
maybe the game of the day we're going to have to wait a long time on is the next one here, Jeff. 10:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Washington and San Francisco. Gonzalez and Samardzija. 68% of the tickets coming in on Washington with Gio Gonzalez. Line opened up at 8 as a total, Jeff. Been bet down to 7.5. Small favorite to Samardzija at minus 110. Bet up a little bit higher at 5 dimes. You can get a -118 with the home team here. One of these games, Jeff, let's get to the particulars on it, then we'll talk about what we think might happen in this one. 4 road starts for Gio Gonzalez, 4.74 ERA, hasn't been particularly good. Sharks rounding in the form a little bit. Last 3 starts under a 2.5 ERA. Washington 15-10 on the road. San Francisco 22-31. Now here's the particulars on the game that you're going to want to look at. Sometime later today, Major League Baseball is going to levy some fines, suspensions, and how that all goes on. The one thing that's always interesting is with Major League Baseball, Jeff, they can slap Bryce Harper with a 10 game. They can slap Hunter Strickland with a 10 game or whoever left the bench. But you always go through the appeals process in Major League Baseball. But the question's going to be is how the retaliation is settled. From looking back from the game last night, a lot of people online saying, San Francisco not happy with the way Strickland handled it. He should have, alerted somebody or, let bygones be bygones, because now on the opposite side of the ball, retaliation is probably going to come back. This is one of those games, Jeff, again, if you're looking at a pitching matchup, do both pitchers get thrown out? Do they just let somebody get hit, just like the Atlanta game, and just play on and no hard feelings? I have a feeling some weird things are going to happen in this game because there's a lot of bad blood out there. So if you're capping it from a pitching standpoint again, I don't really know what you're going to get out of this one, Jeff. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I'm going to cap this game just on the surface. I'm not going to bet this game because, again, like you mentioned, a great point. You just don't know what will happen here. And I'm going to tell you right now, the last pitcher you want on the mound in this situation is Jeff Samardzija. Jeff Samardzija is a guy that doesn't give a fuck. He'll get involved in fights. I feel like every fight in baseball over the last 3 or 4 years, Jeff Samardzija has been involved with in some situation. You look at when Yordano Ventura, God rest his soul, got into it with Adam Eaton in Chicago last year or 2 years ago. Jeff Samardzija got suspended. Jeff Samardzija is involved a lot of the times in these fights. He will go after someone for the Nationals. I don't know who. And again, there's just too many things. We don't know what's going to happen with Bryce Harper. We don't know what's going to happen with Hunter Strickland. And look, Bryce Harper, obviously one of the best players in Major League Baseball, a 331 average. The Nationals will still hit without him. But again, it's a huge piece to lose. You obviously lose Hunter Strickland in that bullpen probably. That's a guy, and we've seen, Donnie, with bullpens, they're fragile groups. You can't just take someone out and think they're going to be fine. He's one of their better players in that bullpen. It's hard for me to bet this game. Just too many things. I will, though, Donnie, I get Masson. I will be watching this game as we're on live later tonight at 10:10. Will be a fun game to watch. I definitely think we see some things go on here. It wouldn't surprise me to see Jeff Samardzija get thrown out because he's the last guy you want in this situation. He will do something just to get back at them for this.
Yeah, it's the other point you want to make here also is it was interesting to watch in the Atlanta Blue Jays series when they had, the retaliation was coming back for Freddie Freeman getting hit and breaking his wrist. That was actually a getaway day game the very next day. So you could have avoided the whole situation, but they said, you know what, somebody's going to get hit. Joey Bat's going to get hit. He knew he was going to get hit, got hit, took his base on first, and they let bygones be bygones. This isn't really a getaway. They still have 2 games left to play. It will be retaliation. It's just a matter of who's going to be professional about it. It's going to be interesting to see, Jeff, which lineups actually get posted here. Are you putting Bryce Harper in? Because target 1A, if they want to retaliate Washington, who are they hitting? They're going after Buster Posey. So is Buster Posey in the lineup? Do you sacrifice and say, Buster, sit this one out, let somebody else take a bullet for you? It's going to be interesting to see how it does play out here.
Yeah, interesting comment. I don't think losing Harper against Samardzija is a big deal. He's just not that good right now. He's hitting 260. I guess for his purposes, it's not particularly good in May, but on the year he's hitting 331. So
yeah, but I don't even think he's going to be lost though, because again, you go through the appeals process in baseball. You can see, you can play the next 7 days in a row without getting suspended.
Plus, again, they do have a pretty good lineup even without Bryce Harper. At the end of the day, though, I think the big story is going to be, will Gio Gonzalez do anything? That's the big thing. I don't know if he will. He's pitched very well, Donnie. Gio Gonzalez, best ERA of his career currently, so he's been pretty good as well. He comes across to me as not I don't know that I don't know what Dusty Baker has up his sleeve here, but for me, this is a pass. I will point out, I'm not really sure why the Nationals are underdog here. Do you understand that?
I don't, it looks like only getting 32% of the tickets. So it is quite a fishy line in this one. The only thing I'm thinking, Jeff, is if there's some sort of retaliation, maybe Washington's going to downplay it, sit Bryce Harper, sit maybe, Daniel Murphy. I don't know, but it's one of those games, Jeff, which, again, being a bettor, we've been around this game a long time. And I even had a little bit of fun with the Atlanta game, trying to, get it live, thinking I was a little bit smarter than myself, which I never should have done that anyway. But it's one of those just being around there. It's better yet to just stay away and watch it for fun to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, but at an underdog price, it's hard to not take the Nationals against the Giants. I mean, this isn't – I mean, it's not like Madison Bumgarner's pitching or something. It's Jeff Zamarja, for Christ's sakes, who knows if we've even be in this game long term. I don't know. At an underdog price, I like the Nationals, but you're right. It's hard to get involved with a game like this just because there are so many things that can happen.
Yeah, good thing about it, Jeff, is, again, as you said, we'll be on late night at campus as this game is just getting underway. So it'll be a lot of fun to watch it live. We'll have a good time with that. Let's keep it moving here on the baseball card. Next up on the docket, Jeff, 9:13, 9:14 on the rotation. That's Oakland and Cleveland. Sonny Gray and Trevor Bauer, 45% of the tickets coming in on the road team. The Oakland Athletics here. Line opened up total-wise at 8.5. Some nines are popping their heads through there, but primarily 8.5 across the board. Looks like with double juice. Bauer opens up at a 159 as a favorite here. Line has since gone up, Jeff, to minus 164 here for Trevor Bauer against Sonny Gray. Some particulars in this. If you look overall with Sonny Gray, Jeff, hasn't been that bad. 5 starts, 3.34 ERA. His road ERA is a little bit higher at 4.5. Bauer, 4 home starts. He's been terrible. 6.05. Oakland, however, Jeff, one of those teams we always like to stay away from on the road, 7-18. Cleveland not yet over 500 at home at 10-13. Something has to give in this situation. Sonny Gray getting a heavy number, plus 150 as an underdog. Let's see how that one plays out today.
Yeah, Omar Fuentes, Washington is an underdog because you expect to get to the bullpen early. I don't know about that. I mean, why is that? I mean, you think
you don't know what these things, and a lot of times you don't know the deals that get brokered behind the scenes where team leader comes out and says, look, man, we're going to put so-and-so at number 2. Just hit him. He's going to take the base, and we can all move on because baseball doesn't want to see, another melee out there today. Neither one of these teams.
And again, if you look at what happened like in that Tehran game against Bautista, I mean, that can usually come back. Again, I think the Nationals are a group that Dusty Baker's a smart guy. I know at some points he doesn't seem like it, but he's been in this game a long time. He might do it, but it's going to be a scenario where they'll hit someone, it'll be over, and like you said, Donnie, they'll move on. They don't want another melee. They don't want – that's not good for baseball. They don't want that happening. I think a lot of the times people blow these situations out of the water. These are things that happen sporadically once in a while. Normally, they don't last, but – some of these they've have, but I hear you. In this game, listen, I'm not backing Oakland on the road, Donnie. 7-18 on the road. Their lineup to me is poor. I've said that.
And an awful defensive team. Don't point that out too.
Great point. They've always been. Marcus Simeon's a guy that had struggled for years at shortstop. They've had major issues as a defensive club. You're right about that. Sonny Gray's actually been okay since coming back. I don't know if he'll ever return. Clearly, probably will never return to what he was in that short period of time. But, I'm not high on Bauer. We all know that. Bauer has walked 18 batters, 11 home runs in 9 games. His whip is high. He always has base runners. He's just not a guy you feel comfortable betting on, and especially with Cleveland right now. I know this is a game they probably will win, but I'm not really crazy about laying 162 plus with Trevor Bauer. So for me, it's a pass. I have no interest in Oakland. I have no interest in Cleveland at these prices.
Yeah, interesting one there. Next up on the docket, 9:15, 9:16. Jeff, we're going to take it to Baltimore and New York at Camden Yards. Severino versus Tillman is going to be the matchup. 73% of the tickets coming in from the public here, Jeff, on the New York Yankees. Minus 120, they open up. Line moving in their direction. Chris now posting a minus 141. If we take a look at some totals, opened up at 9.5. Looks like 8.5 now is coming up primarily here across the board. If we take a look at some game particulars, Severino's been really good this year. 4 road starts, 2.25 ERA. 9 total starts, a 3.11 ERA. That's fantastic if you're facing, obviously, AL East teams and primarily American League ball clubs. Tillman, 3 home starts, been okay, 3.94 ERA. Good team, New York, on the road despite the loss yesterday, 12-11. And for how bad Baltimore has played, for over the past 2 weeks there, they got a little bit of home cooking yesterday, picked up the win, still 16-7 at home, always a viable team. We'll see if they get Adam Jones back in the lineup today to try to bolster that offense. But yesterday was pretty much about the pitching, ends up 3-2. We'll see what this game has to offer today.
Yeah, this is an interesting game because obviously Baltimore's been very good at home, 16-7, but they're winning a lot of close games, Donnie. They're winning a lot of one-run games. Yep. They've been fairly lucky this year at home. We obviously know what the Yankees have, but both these lineups have kind of been scuffling lately. I think it's really about what pitcher you trust a little bit more. And for me, it'd be Severino. The problem is the Yankees have had major trouble, Donnie, in Camden Yards over the last couple of years. They're 6-16 against Baltimore in Baltimore over the last 22. So they're not a particularly good bet in Baltimore. They just haven't had success there. But again, it's hard for me to get away from that mystique in Baltimore. I like what they do there, but I don't like Tillman. So again, another situation where I'm going to pass. The Orioles aren't winning games by wide margins. They're not killing teams at home. They're just getting lucky a lot of the time. They had really good pitching yesterday, and they were able to scrounge out a win. But yeah, for me, too many things here. I'm just not a big fan of the Yankees in Baltimore.
Yeah, next game up on the docket here, Jeff. Tampa Bay and Texas in a shootout yesterday ended up 10-8 in the favor of the Rays. And the Rays, impressive, coming off of a 15-inning game on the road, beating the Twins, go down to Texas and handle their business as well. I always root for Tampa Bay. I just like the construction of the lineup. Obviously, a smaller market team trying to play in that big money AL East. If we get a look at some of the game particulars here, Andresi versus Martinez, obviously that's the Rays and the Rangers. 58% backing the home team here with Texas. Opened up as a short favorite as a road team here with the Tampa Bay Rays at -115 here at Pinnacle. Has since been bet down a little bit, -106 at 5-9. So we take a look at the total, Jeff. Not a surprise here. Two hot teams at the plate. 10 is the over-under in this situation. Taking a look at some game numbers here. 10 starts for Andresi this year, Jeff. 3.24 ERA overall. Very good for the kid. Nick Martinez, 3 home starts, 3.32 ERA. So kind of interesting that number is set so high at 10. Tampa Bay 16-12 in the month of May. Texas picking it home at 16-9 overall. Beltre entered back into the lineup last night. So looks like Texas is full go from here on out. Maybe they get Cole Hamels back. Maybe Yu Darvish rounds back in the form as well. They might make a little bit of noise here down the stretch, Jeff.
The problem is, Donnie, they've been an absolute fraud this year. They've been a team that I rode for about that winning streak. I've had a good read on Texas all year. I've know when not to back them. I gave a little back against Boston just because I've jumped off the train. But for the most part, when they came into the end of the year, I said this team wouldn't be that good. They had a stretch where they beat Oakland, San Diego, and the Phillies. Big fucking deal. We made money off it, but it didn't mean shit because long term, this team just isn't that good. They've lost 6 of 7 after that winning streak, so they're coming back to earth. They're coming back to what we all know they are. They're just a team with one ace that has issues. They've had very good success early with some of their pitchers that won't continue. Cashner, Griffin won't continue to pitch the way they have. Their bullpen, we know, has major problems. Their lineup hasn't really been great. They're not that typical Tex team. They'll score some runs, but their pitching is just not good enough. I don't know here, Donnie. It's hard for me because Andresi's been good. I would lean Rays here, honestly. I just don't think Texas is that good a team. I made some money off them, and that's probably all it's going to be with Texas this year. I just don't think long-term they're very good. And Nick Martinez, I've faded for a lot of years. Andresi's been a kind of under-the-radar guy, Donnie.
Yeah, hot bats for Tampa Bay, so we'll see if that carries over. Whenever they run that full-go lineup out there for Tampa Bay, they can hit, man. A lot of those guys in that, especially 1 through 6, 1 through 7, can pop the long ball. Kiermaier, it's been kind of a feast or famine for him. If you watch the game against the Twins on Sunday, made a couple great catches, but we've also seen in the past where ground ballers go right under his glove for triples and inside the park home runs. So we'll see what happens in that game, but definitely one to keep your eye on. Interesting number, though, as I said back, posting that number at 10 with 2 pitchers that are technically having decent splits here in this one. Next up on the docket, Jeff. Interesting one here that I'm actually looking forward to. Boston and the White Sox. Sale versus Quintana, 2 lefties on the mound. 81% of the public coming in here with Chris Sale. Opened up at -173. Chris actually has that game at -182. Sportsbook at -190. Sale returning back to his old stomping ground. Some particulars on this one. 4 road starts for Chris Sale, 2.51 ERA. I don't even know if you want to consider this a road start. I mean, obviously, he's the road team, but, I mean, that's his ballpark. He knows the mound, knows the batting eye, everything, as well as anybody would do. So kind of take that with a grain of salt, even though he's been fantastic, whether it's home or away. Quintana, 5.59 ERA in his last 3 starts. Boston, good bounce-back team, 4-8 after a loss. But we all know the White Sox there versus left-handed pitching, 11-5. A lot of emotion going on in this game with Sale returning back to play at, I believe it's Guaranteed Rate Field. So very exciting name for that game as well. But interesting one. Any thoughts on that game, Jeff? Because I can't lay that much with Sale, but I know he's going to want to put on a great performance here.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts in this game, and I backed the White Sox yesterday. I'm going to back them again here. Again, I know Chris Sale is coming home, or not coming home, but coming back to the place he pitched for so long. But again, he's been a little vulnerable lately, Donnie. We bet against him against Oakland. I bet against him. One of the game. It was another game as well. He's been just kind of average lately, But again, there'll be a lot of intrigue with this game. Left-handers, Chicago White Sox, one of the better teams at baseball against lefties, 5.3 runs a game, hitting 285. And Donnie, if I asked you what opponents are hitting at guaranteed rate field this year, would you happen to know?
I do not know that. What is it?
206. Not very good. And the great thing about the White Sox, when they're hitting lefties, they have that bullpen. If your starter can give you 4, 5, 6 innings, you're probably going to have a good chance to win. This is a very good lineup against lefties. You're going to think Jose Abreu, some of those guys are going to want to face Chris Sale. Will they have much success? I don't know. This seems like a game where maybe Sale will come in and just completely dominate. I don't know. But here's the great thing about Quintana. Other than his last start, which, by the way, he retired the first 10 hitters. It was the worst start of his career. Quintana, his numbers look bad, but if you pull back the onion, he's had 2 real bad starts here. Other than that, before his last start, his ERA was 2.7 over his last 6 starts. He has really good stuff. He just had a bad outing. I don't know what else to say. He's still going to be a commodity. He's still going to be a guy that people like, and I still think can not dominate, but pitch well against a team like the Red Sox. They're not particularly they've kind of had a lot of weird stretches this year, the Red Sox. I think Quintana's a decent bet in this spot. I think it's a good price. You're getting a team against a lefty. I'll trust Quintana here. I still like him. I think he's had just 2 bad outings, and one was very early in the season. So I'm not giving up on Quintana. Quintana had 1 bad start. It is what it is. Not going to hold it against him.
Yeah, 2 trains of thought in that one. One would think Chris Sale knows that lineup, knows what they don't like, but then the opposite can be said as well. That hitting lineup knows what Chris Sale throws, seeing it for years and years and years. And just going on the road, you're picking up tips on what Chris Sale does, what he doesn't like to do. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one actually plays out. Next up on the
one other thing with Quintana, he has to cut down on the walks. That's been one of his bugaboos this year. 24 walks. He's got to cut down on that. But it should be a cool game to watch. Chris Sale, definitely a competitor.
Yep. Next up here, Detroit and Kansas City. Another one of those games. Better do your homework on. That's Detroit and the Kansas City Royals. Verlander versus Skoglund. 76% of the tickets currently coming in here, Jeff, on Detroit. Opened up as a -145. Has backtracked down to 5 times at -130. So that's one of those false flags that we're going to take a look at. Over under here, Jeff, opened up at 9. Currently staying at 9. Some interesting tidbits here. Verlander, we all know that he's been a very good pitcher at home this year. Not the case on the road. 6 road starts. A 7.64 ERA. Skoglund at AAA through 8 starts, 4.53 ERA. So not a shutdown guy. I know we talked about Pill a little bit earlier, having a very good AAA season. Not so much there for Skoglund. Detroit, 12-17 on the road. Kansas City, 14-13 in the month of May. Big man, I know you have some stats and some stuff you want to talk about here on Skoglund. Get after it.
Yeah, Skoglund, 2014 pick by the Royals, 3rd rounder out of UCF, Donnie. Sarasota, Florida. Eric Skoglund, weird last name. But you look at, his kind of career so far in AAA. He's only pitched, out of his 310 innings, 43 in AAA. So he's really not had a ton of experience at higher levels of baseball. He's obviously making his first start here. I've said over the course of time, you have an interesting day today. You have 4 or 5 kids making their major league debut. You have a couple of them. I think if you bet against all of them, you'll come out on top. I know Detroit's kind of struggling right now to hit the baseball. They did hit last night, which is impressive. Verlander's obviously struggled on the road. I'll be honest, I kind of like the over at 9. I think Skoglund, this is not the easiest lineup to face. You have a lot of major league, long-term, very good hitters in this lineup. I just don't really trust Skoglund. He hasn't had much experience at high levels of baseball. And in those high levels of baseball, at AAA, it was his worst year of his 5-year career in the major leagues, or 3-year career, I'm sorry. So, yeah, I don't trust Skoglund at all. I think he'll get lit up pretty early on here. Yeah,
another interesting one. I know, Jeff, you like to take a look at some of those angles with umpires. Tim Timmons comes into this game. He's actually -25 units for his career towards the under. So he's definitely not one of those guys that, not a peel away guy, 183 and 198 overall. So not a decided advantage with an under umpire, but a little bit leaning towards the under there. In that one.
Another thing about Kansas City, I mean, you look over the last 2-3 weeks, they are starting to hit a little bit. So I think Verlander, some of his struggles on the road, I just think we see a pretty high scoring game.
It's good. Yeah, you're right.
Similar to last night.
Yep. Over. If I was looking at that game and you said right now, what are you going to take without looking at lineups? I will be leaning towards the over 9 figure. And again, just doing simple math, both teams can probably get the 4 runs here. Detroit doesn't have a good bullpen. Kansas City's got a little bit better bullpen, but again, you're throwing a young kid who's not a lights out pitcher coming up with phenomenal stuff, and he's a lefty, so one would think that Detroit would be able to get after him a little bit there over the first 5. So definitely an interesting one to keep your eye on. 923, 924 on the rotation, Jeff. Houston and Minnesota Fires versus Barrios. 60% actually the actual tickets early, Jeff, coming in on the road team. Houston here. Over-under opened up at 9, stayed at 9. Barrios opens up at a -120, been bet down a little bit to -111. Maybe some people thinking, even only a couple games, maybe some regression is on the mean here. Fires 5 road starts. He's been atrocious. 6.37 ERA. Barrios, Jeff, 3 starts, 1.66 ERA. We joked before the show in our prep, a .5 whip on the season, which is hard to even think that's possible. 2 interesting numbers here. Houston, 16-6 now on the road. How about Minnesota? Not a great record, but 16-6 in night games. Interesting stat to think about there.
Yeah. We're starting to see the overall ridiculousness of baseball. Look, I know Barrios has been very good. I've made it clear, but should he be a favorite against the best team in baseball? I don't know about that. Look, he's been good. You won't get any discrepancy from me on that. But look, Houston's very good on the road. Opponents only hitting .221 against them. And I know Fires isn't a guy I want to particularly back, but I think the squares are going to be all over the Twins in this spot. Barrios has been good, but I think he will at some point, not get battered around. You look at last year against the Astros, 7 1/3. He gave up 7 earned runs, 11 hits, 6 walks, and 2 home runs. Again, different pitcher, probably. But listen, when I can get the Astros as an underdog, I'll take a shot with him. Look, I know Barrios has been good, but he's been kind of shut down too. You mentioned his whip, .55 whip, which is pretty unbelievable, really. But for some reason, I think a lot of people at the end of the night here will be pretty annoyed because you'll say to yourself, why the hell did I bet against the Astros? They're the best team in baseball. They were an underdog today. You have 2 underdogs today that I just don't understand. I know Barrios is great and all, but you look at them in Washington, it's kind of hard to not take a shot here. And you look at the teams that Barrios has faced, you have to be impressed. Cleveland, Colorado, and Baltimore. But again, all those were at home. And I don't know. I'm just not looking to fade the Astros. I'll take a shot with them here.
Yeah, interesting numbers. Also, Jeff, talking about the umpires here. Sam Holbrook, very home friendly, 199 and 158 over his career to the home team, but also not very friendly to the totals. If you're looking, weather is nice out there for the game. You're going to have a little bit of wind blowing out about 10 miles an hour to right center field as I check it in. But Sam Holbrook, 151 and 190 on his career with unders. If you're betting 1 unit on each one of those, he's -47 units to the under. So something to keep an eye on. Barrios, the way he's looked, Jeff, he doesn't need that much help. So maybe an expanded strike zone could help him out a little bit, especially in those first 5 innings.
And for the record, in his last start against Baltimore, he went 6 1/3, gave up 3 runs. He was good, wasn't great. I do think he's hittable. He will get hit at some point. It's going to happen. So why can't it be the Astros? If I can get an underdog price in the Astros, I'm going to take it. It's just something I'm going to do every time.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But interesting game the way it shapes up. We'll be keeping an eye on that one. Total posted again at 9 for an under umpire. We'll see what happens there. Again, it's hard if you look at Houston. I don't care who's pitching, Jeff. Those 2 lineups can get after it and put up some runs. So it should be a fun one to watch here. Next up on the docket, 925, 926.
Do you want to back the Twins after that stunt yesterday in the bullpen?
Yeah, it's hard. I don't even know how they recover from that.
What happens if Barrios just does have a bad outing here? Let's say he does get crushed. This one could get ugly. Let's be honest. You're really banking on a kid that's made 3 starts and was poor last year. Listen, if he continues to dominate, I will continue to give him his respect. But after yesterday, I don't know how you can feel comfortable with the Twins pitching staff long-term right now.
Yeah, interesting one. Next up, again, another team we're going to take a look at that's going to be throwing maybe an unknown pitcher. That's Asher Wojciechowski versus J Happ today, 76% backing Toronto in this situation with public tickets coming in. Happ opens up at a -159 bet all the way up at sportsbook.com, the -182. Over-under opens up at 9.5, bet rate to 10. If we take a look at some of the particulars here, 3 career starts for Wojciechowski, 6.20 ERA in the major leagues. However, 5 starts this year in AAA. He's got a 1.40 ERA. Happ through 3 starts, 4.50 ERA, but we know he is coming off an injury. Cincinnati 10-13 on the road. Toronto 16-10 in the month of May. The reserves are back. The cavalry is ready to go, and they're pounding the baseball. What's going to happen to Wojo here on the mound, Jeff?
Yeah, Asher Wojciechowski, tough. You look at him on Friday. They throw him in it also kind of a little early here to get him some work. He faced the Phillies on Friday, Donnie. Went a third of an inning, gave up 2 doubles and 2 runs. So, look, not particularly good, especially against the Phillies. But J Happ, he's back. What are you going to get out of him? I mean, J Happ hasn't pitched since April 16th. He'll be limited to 4 or 5 innings here is what they're saying. There's a lot kind of going on in this game that I don't really want to be involved with. Toronto's won 6 of 7. They have played well, but how long are you going to get Happ for is the big question. That's my concern. Toronto's been murdering the ball lately. I would lean Toronto just because I do think J-Happ will be fine and he'll be better than Wojciechowski here, but who the hell knows what will happen in this game.
Yeah, no, interesting. I mean, again, it's one of those things that you're taking a look at, trying to bite it and say, can Cincinnati at least put up, 4 to 5 runs or 3 to 4 runs in this situation? Because Toronto, the way they're swinging the bats, shouldn't have too much of a problem with Wojo out there on the mound. We'll see what happens in that.
They should still be able to continue to hit. And I think Cincinnati, their lineup's decent enough. The total's just a 10. I mean, it's hard to bet a total at 10 anywhere but Coors or with wind blowing out into Chicago.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Next up on the docket here, we're going to go to Seattle and Colorado. Miranda is on the mound, the lefty versus Anderson, also a lefty. 86%, Jeff, of the tickets coming in here on Colorado. Line opened up at a -125, but is moving in the right direction. If you're taking a look at that amount of tickets, they're up to -140 here at Chris. If we take a look total-wise, it's Coors Field. Obviously, it opens up at 11. It's staying at 11 right now. Miranda, through 6 road starts, hasn't been good at all. 6.08 ERA. Anderson's 4 home starts. He's been okay. Again, it is Coors Field, so you have to take a little bit of these numbers a little bit skewed. 5.24 ERA. His last 3 starts, however, Jeff, 2.89 ERA. Again, another one of these Colorado pitchers having a good year. Seattle 10-20 on the road. We all know the struggles. Colorado 10-5 versus a left-handed pitcher. Is this the game, Jeff, where Colorado can get off the schneid here and really pound Miranda, get into that bullpen early and put up some runs? If they run their strong 1 through 8 out of there, I could see it happening today.
Yeah, quickly, Donnie, back to the other game. Someone's asking about how do I know that he's on a pitch count. It's saying, according to MLB.com, he'll be on a pitch count. 4 or 5 innings is what they're saying. So
is that Happ you're talking about, or is that what
J.A. Happ? So
yeah, he's probably is. They usually, when you come back from a DL, especially that long of a stint, they're not looking for you to get 7 innings out of you. So I probably would agree with that.
Right. As far as the Rockies and Mariners, Miranda, Donnie's probably been, I know they've had a lot of injuries this year. He's probably been so far their best starter, other than obviously when Paxton was in there. But I mean, Miranda's been serviceable, but it's hard to get involved with him here. I mean, 9-20 on the road for Seattle. You wonder how he'll pitch in Coors, obviously being his first time. And look, Anderson's kind of turned a corner lately. He had a poor April, but he's made some changes, things like that. He's pitched pretty well over his last 3 outings, giving up under a 3 earned run, so been very good. It's hard to get involved with the Seattle Mariners, Donnie. 9-20 again, just terrible. And in Coors, I mean, I always look to kind of be on Colorado. I don't know that I trust Miranda on the road either in this spot. So yeah, I would probably lean with Colorado here, but who the hell knows? You never know in Coors. I'll go Colorado for the record.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at Seattle, always get a little bit of a chuckle there. I mean, what a tough go they've had with starting pitching. You're looking at Smiley, Iwakuma, Hernandez, and Paxton all in the DL. I mean, they're just trying to, sort of survive and be in survive mode, because when that offense is hot, they can hit and get after it. And again, we talked last night on Late Night at Campus. What a tough beat if you had the over 11. I mean, you had your 6-5 after 6 innings. It's Coors Field. It's a close game. solo home run somewhere. You didn't get it. So we'll see if that one pops over the 11 tonight. Last game on the docket that we have here, another unknown pitcher to most. That's going to be Colon versus Bridwell. 54% of the people actually backing Bartolo Colon. 8.5 is the total, staying across the board as it opened up. -110 for Bridwell. Has gone up to -131 at Chris and -130 at 5 Dimes. So the young kid getting some bump from the public here. Cologne, 6 road starts. I don't know if you've been on another planet. It's just out there, throwing like 84 miles an hour and trying to fool somebody with a fastball. 7.44 ERA. Parker Bridwell, 3 AAA starts, Jeff, 0.92 ERA. Atlanta 12-15 on the road after picking up the win last night. The Troutless Angels, but this kid, maybe coming up a little bit ballyhooed, been good at AAA. Can you just fade Bartolo Colon at all costs at this point, Jeff?
Yeah. I mean, I do. I've made that clear all year. But Donnie, you really have to kind of look at the amazing just difference between Mike Trout and Ben Revere. Clearly, there's no comparison. We all know that. You look at the WAR difference between Mike Trout and Ben Revere. Ben Revere's -2.4, Mike Trout 14. So just amazing how different it's going to be. But again, listen, they're going to struggle without Mike Trout. Any team would. That's just what happens when you lose the best player in baseball. But Donnie, Colon's obviously going to give up runs. That's what he does. He's not going to go out and toss, 7 scoreless innings of 2-hit ball. He'll give up 3 or 4 runs, maybe more. That's just what Bartolo Colon does. He's been horrible on the road. He has the worst ERA in the major leagues, with qualified starts. But you look at Bridwell, Donnie. I did a little research on Bridwell. I spent probably way too long on Parker Bridwell this morning that I'll ever spend. He's a converted starter, Donnie. He didn't always pitch. He's not always been a pitcher. 2010 9th round pick by Baltimore. So do the math, Donnie. 7 years he's been a pitcher. He went 3 1/3 innings last year for Baltimore. Gave up 5.
What did he get drafted as, Jeff? Was he like an outfielder?
I believe he was an outfielder. Yes, ninth round. He's played on 13 different teams in the minor leagues. And this is the biggest thing. In his career, an ERA at 4.6 for in the minor leagues. You look at out of 686 minor league innings for Parker Bidwell, 33 2/3 have been with AAA teams. So basically what I'm saying there, for all that information, he's barely pitched at even AAA, and he's been poor. Just 10 games with AAA teams in his career. 10 games. I mean, that's amazing. In 686 innings, you've barely thrown 33 innings. I mean, are you hearing that? I mean, that's amazing.
What about the ERA? 0.92, Jeff. Smoking down there.
I mean, but again, it's just not a lot of experience in high-level baseball. I mean, you're spending a lot of time in Double-A and Single-A and fall leagues and things like that. It's just not going to be a good situation tonight for Parker Bridwell. And the Braves, earth to anyone, are hitting right now. I'll go over 8.5. I don't get this total whatsoever. It might be a wolf in sheep's clothing here. Cologne might go, 6, 7 innings, give up 2 runs, but I think Bridwell facing a major league lineup is going to have major issues. He is not a guy. At least give me some experience. Give me a Lamet or someone like that. Bridwell has literally no experience at the major league level. He's barely been in AAA. You're literally going with a guy that's never been at high-level baseball. I can't back him. There's no viable way he doesn't get hit here. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it looks like if you take a look at the weather conditions there, typical for a California night. Light winds blowing out 6.5 miles an hour, 7.5 depending on where you get it at. 71 degrees. One thing, Jim Tumpane as the umpire, Jeff, towards the home team, 87-52, 63% clip there. That's one of the better ones I've seen. Over under for him, 63-65. So not much of a difference there, but looks like he does lean towards the home team in this one. And just some interesting numbers coming back again, looking at it, 45% of the tickets, and that line is moving up on a guy nobody's really ever heard of. So kind of interesting stuff here that you want to digest throughout the day, see what some of these lineups check out to be. No question about it.
Yeah, for me, a couple I'm looking at. I like the Braves over 8.5. A lot of kind of just passes today for me. Kind of like Royals, Tigers over 9. I am kind of continuing to look at the Dodgers. And I will be interested to see how the Nationals and the Astros play as underdogs tonight. Yeah, Freddie Freeman's not playing, so he's not going to see Bridwell. I don't know. Maybe you don't know that. But Donnie, let's wrap it up here. Obviously, check out the contest. We'll post that in the comment section. Get on to that. We'll be back Friday for the right side of campus. We'll be on tomorrow for the roundtable. And we'll be on later tonight where we'll talk about everything that happened in baseball. We'll also discuss the Tiger Woods situation and all that sort of thing as well.
And Donnie, also, Jeff, is poker a sport will be the topic.
Oh, sure.
We might go till 3 a.m. tonight.
Yeah, we'll talk about is poker sport because Donnie has an opinion. I have an opinion. And this all happened because I called Rounders a sports movie. So I also want to know, Donnie, what kind of movie do you consider Rounders? We'll talk about that. One of the best movies ever. We'll check that out tonight. Join us 10 o'clock Eastern on the Late Night on Campus. Have a nice day, guys.
Take care, folks.